Hey, what's going on, everyone? How you guys doing? Matt Jarbo here at $3 Theater, and The Mandalorian Chapter 14, The Tragedy, just dropped on Disney Plus, and I had to come talk about it. I had to immediately get out of bed and come to my computer and talk about this episode because even though right now it is the shortest of the entire season, it is probably the most what? Huh? And okay, right? Like there's good, there's bad, and there's other in this episode. In fact, this is probably going to not win me a great deal of friends when I say that right now, this is kind of my least favorite episode of the season. And I'll explain why. It's not that it's a bad episode. It's a good episode, and I'll also talk about that. However, I felt there were issues that and I think it ties into the director. And again, I will get to that. But let me first off say, spoilers abound. If you don't know that already, why the hell are you here? Secondly, huh? Yeah, right? Like, you know what I'm talking about. So in the episode, Mando and Grogu are heading off to Tython in order to go to the Jedi Temple to go on the Seeing Stone to see what the hell's going to happen next. And of course, we know about there being a tracker on the Razor Crest put there by one of Moff Gideon's spies back on Navarro. So we can kind of expect there to be something. What we don't expect, what is truly just holy crap, was the fact that the Slave One arrived. Now, how the hell did Slave One track him? That's my question. That's another thing I'm kind of curious about. But two, oh my God, Slave One. We haven't seen that vehicle. We haven't seen that thing, really, since Attack of the Clones. That's how long ago Slave One. And it looked as cool as always. It looked as rundown as always. And of course, Boba Fett, played by Tamara Morrison, was awesome. I really, really, really loved it. And he was simply there just to get his armor. And what I also loved about it, too, is Mando's like, are you Mandalorian? Have you taken the creed? You know, like, show me your papers, bitch, basically, is what he basically says. And not only that, but Fennec Shan is with him. And that was something that made me laugh my ass off. Because, you know, it's that whole notion when you first see Fennec, you're just like, okay, so in Star Wars, no one is truly ever gone. You know, no one is truly ever dead. But then again, look. It's Fennec is great. Okay, Fennec is great. You gotta love the character. So I'm glad we got more of her. And now we're gonna get a lot more of her, but I'll get to that. And then from there, you know, Grogu starts communicating with the Force, doing something on the Seeing Stone. We don't know. He's reaching out for a while. Mando is unable to penetrate a Force field literally around him. And then a bunch of stormtroopers show up in order to try to collect the child and stop Mandalorian. But they weren't expecting Fennec Shan and Boba fucking Fett. And Boba gets his armor. But I also enjoyed the fact that Boba was using the Sand People's weaponry against the stormtroopers, and it was wildly, wildly effective, showing that this dude straight up is like a badass. It's like he gave us more Boba Fett than we ever got with his 5 lines out of the original trilogy. But still, like, it was cool. And then there's the whole episode basically was just one fight scene on the side of a hill, which I really liked. I thought that it was very action packed. The 30 minutes flew by faster than you might think. And then, of course, you know, the Razor Crest gets destroyed. That caught me entirely by surprise, but it makes sense. Moff Gideon knew where it was. It fired one direct shot. It took out the Razor Crest, which is sad. But we know he gets another one. We know he gets another one because another Razor Quest pops up at the ending of the Rise of Skywalker and that massive ships that go to the planet, the Exegol. So we know that. So at some point, Mando is going to get another Razor Crest. It won't be the Razor Crest because that's now gone, but it will be another one. That will be okay. You know, I'm okay with that. I mean, it'd be like if Han ever truly lost the Millennium Falcon, you know, he'd like remake it or something. It wouldn't be the same, but it would be close enough, and that's all right with me. So then, as Boba Fett just comes in and just takes everyone out, like literally just like badass gunslinger, holy shit, we've been waiting since literally 40 years to see this, by the way, because Empire Strikes Back came out 40 damn years ago. We've been waiting 40 years to see this. And now we saw it. He annihilates those stormtroopers, which I thought was awesome. and then uses the missile backpack to take out both ships. What I like is Amando's like, you took them both out, and he's like, I was aiming for the other one. You know, there's a couple callbacks in here, like my father before me. That line, I was aiming for the other one. There's other callbacks that kind of permeate in the episode, and that's one of my complaints, to be honest with you. As much as I enjoy the callback, as much as I enjoy the Easter egg, I felt that they were a little bit ham-fisted. And I'll talk about my problems with the episode after. But what I really love though was like the Dark Troopers came down, and they were like the Gen 1 models, right? They're like the Gen 1 model Dark Troopers. They came down, they grabbed the child, they came back, and then here comes the Slave One, and you're like, oh, he's just gonna, like, you know, take him out and whatnot. But he didn't, because he didn't want to hurt the kid, and Fennec told him to stand down. But he followed it up to Moff Gideon's cruiser, and he's like, oh, they're back. The Empire. Oh, no, 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 no. So he nopes the hell out of there. But what I thought was really cool, and kind of unlike Boba's character in the Clone Wars show, because when we saw him in the Clone Wars, Boba was a child, and he was angry. Right, he was really angry, and he didn't really have honor, not even honor amongst thieves. But here he had honor, and I'm wondering if that was because for the last 5 years he had spent time amongst the Sand People, living, learning their ways, and doing what he could to survive while trying to get his armor back. And so I'm wondering if that changed him fundamentally as a character, because now Boba is a good guy. The most feared bounty hunter in all of the galaxy during the height of the Empire is now a good guy. And I don't quite know how I feel about that, to be honest with you. Not to say that I'm against it. I don't have any problem with it per se. But it's like the baddest, most silent mofo in all of Star Wars fandom that you know, popping up in as an animated character in the 78 holiday special is now led to the show's creation. And yet he's always been a bad guy. Now he's a good guy, but that's fine. That's fine. Star Wars has that kind of stuff all the time. I'm okay with it. You know, kind of like the Fast and Furious franchise, where like the villains of the previous movie become like part of the team in the next movie. So that's, you know, it is what it is. And then what I love though is we get to see Mando go back to Navarro, and he goes to Cara Dune, and he's all like, I need you to look up Mayfeld. And I'm all like, my ears perked, and I'm all like, Bill Burr, hell yeah, an Imperial sharpshooter, locked away in prison. Now the next episode is they got to go spring Mayfeld out of jail in order to use more Bill Burr for that in the season finale. Please give me more Bill Burr. I adored him in chapter 6. I'm so happy that they're going to bring him back in. At least I hope they're going to bring him back in. I thought that was great. Even though I did feel Gina Carano's acting in that scene was a little bit wonky, you know, like, see these stripes, because she's now a marshal for the New Republic. She's like, see these stripes means I got to play by the rules. Like, whatever. You're in Navarro. You're in the Outer Rim. No one's going to care. They don't, they know, you know, they just want there to be some law and order. Anyway, no Grief Karga, surprisingly, for that one shot, but whatever. And then we go to Moff Gideon's ship, and we get to see Grogu absolutely just tearing up stormtroopers, just bashing them into walls, bashing them in each other using force pull and force push. But Gideon is smart. He's a tactician. He feels kind of Thrawn-ish, to be honest with you, which is why I think, because we got that Thrawn reveal last week, we're going to end up getting that they know each other, that they went to the academy together, the Naval Academy together. And, you know, he's going to have to say, I learned from Thrawn or something like that, you know, because that's going to happen. And then at that point in time, you know, but he's smart. He knows that using the Force wears out Grogu. So they stunned him. Those bastards stunned Grogu at point blank range. He's a child. He's a 50-year-old child, you monsters, you know. And then that's where they're leaving it. So they're somewhere in hyperspace. It's taking them a long time to get somewhere, unlike the sequel trilogy, which has basically instantaneous galaxy-wide travel. This is sticking to the rules that Lucas created. We don't know where they're going, but they are going to go meet Dr. Pershing in order to get the donor for the clones. Oh yeah, it's going to be an emperor thing. I think they're going to start tying into the sequel trilogy, good or bad. And that's where the episode generally ends. And I was like, wow, holy crap. Like, that was an insane action-packed 30 minutes. So let's talk about the good. The good was, yeah, Boba Fett, Fennec Shan, Dark Troopers, Jedi powers, more Grogu. expands it. It moved the needle forward quite a bit. The bad, or the not great, I think actually is because Robert Rodriguez was the director. And I say that not because he does bad action. He does good action. The action here was really good, but it was also fast and quick. And when you're in, you could tell that it was fast and quick. To me, it felt like the CG wasn't complete, or the CG was subpar compared to other episodes. The stormtroopers, that whole scene, it felt too clean. It was shot in high definition. It probably should have been shot in 35 millimeter, or, shot using a different lens or different, filters put through in the editing. It just felt too clean for me. It did. If something about it felt off, and I hadn't felt that in like Bryce Dallas Howard's episode or anything else. So I'm not too sure. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it just didn't really, there was issues with it on that front. And I just felt like it was Rodriguez doing what Rodriguez does, which he makes the action grand, but you can also see the flaws. And that's just, again, like, it's not like Alita. Alita Battle Angel was his last movie, and that was great, and like that had a lot of good action in it, but that in this show has a high budget. So I don't know what's going on here. Anyway, they might have just said, okay, screw it. We're going to go more practical this time around, not rely as heavily on the volume or CG. And then from there, we'll do what we have to do. Again, it's like probably the weakest episode filmmaking wise, as compared to everything else. And this is weird because Rodriguez is one of my all-time favorite directors, but I just feel like his style didn't fully mesh here. And that was kind of like the only real downside that I had to the episode. I'm, again, not saying it's bad, not saying don't watch it, not saying it's garbage, but that was something that I noticed. That in the musical score, it sometimes didn't really feel like it matched the tone of what I was seeing, which was a little bit weird. Again, I'm going to go watch the episode like 28,000 more times because I'm in, Boba Fett and the Slave One and Dark Troopers. So, I mean, this one has been expanding the plot. This season so far, and this again is kind of a complaint that I've had it's a little one. It's like in a sequel that expands the world, right? When a sequel expands the universe and they do too much in a sequel, it takes away from it. Like Trolls World Tour did that. Trolls 1, you had Troll Town and you had Bergenville, and that was it, right? And then in number 2, you had all the different like troll continents and all the different characters and all the different musics. And it became too much because they didn't focus on one thing centrally. Here, they're expanding upon it. And that's where I'm wondering if they're going to run into some problems. That being said, I don't necessarily care. These are minor nitpicks. I cannot wait to get into the final 2 episodes of the season. Give me more Bill Burr. Please bring back Clancy Brown. Break him out too. Take the fight to Moff Gideon. Get back the child. Save the day. And then my question is, who is the Jedi that is going to respond to the Seeing Stone? Because he was on there long enough for some Jedi out there to feel it. So is it going to be Cal Kestis? Is it going to be Luke Skywalker? Did Ahsoka Tano feel it? That's my question. Of course, we have to wait. Oh, we have to wait to find out. But as always, I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your comments on this one. Let me know down in the comment box, please. If you like this, my thought ramble, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you all later. Have yourself a great day. And remember, may the Force be with you always.